South Park. Oh, this is just 7 minutes.
Alrighty. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Smudcast number 716. Why are adult animated shows ugly? Capital UGLY. That's an interesting question. I'm glad we have a video to cover that. And this is a video from the YouTuber by the name of Liuss, I believe, Liuss. And this came out just a few months ago. Actually, no, a year ago, back in March last year, and has almost 320,000 views. So good for you, sir, for a 8,500K subscriber channel. So obviously people like to know what the hell's going on with these crappy looking cartoons from the West. I'm assuming he means from the West because he just said animated shows. He didn't mean manga or anime or anything else in the East. Because usually
Does it say in the description where?
Yeah, he's talking about Big Mouth.
I think that's Gravity Falls or Fallen.
Adventure Time. Yeah, there's Gravity Falls. Yeah, so he's going to go through a bunch of them within the span of 8 minutes, which is pretty fast for all this stuff. So good for him. I'm glad to see hopefully a good critique in that span of time, and why these things suck. If it's a simple answer like, oh, that's all they could afford, it was a cheap production, okay, it makes perfect sense. Or someone knew a guy who knew a guy, and they just hired who they hired. So,
well, it could be like the reason why it looks ugly is probably for the intent, for just like Ga said a while ago, like just artistic,
That was from like 90s shows. That was like a good faith. We made it ugly for artistic reasons. Well, something like Big Mouth, I don't think is that.
Yeah, but people can look at like South Park and say, "Oh man, this looks cheap," but there was a lot of passion into the writing. It may not look good. It looked like it's cheap, but the writing was good enough, and if that makes sense.
I think the new techniques that made South Park, like, it started off as just standard animation.
It looked really cheap originally.
Yeah, and then they got to, I think they were using Flash, and they moved on to some other technique to make it easier to animate and faster to animate. So there's the quality, it's roughly the same. You're not too concerned about what South Park looks like. You're more concerned of, is it funny, and are the crude jokes, do they hit? If not,
if the animation complements the humor.
Yeah, and they're also coming out with a new series, a new episode. This time, all the characters are black women, except for Kyle, for some reason.
Wait, is that real? I thought that was a meme.
No, it is real. Apparently, I guess they're going for the joke of, Hollywood is replacing like existing character and gender and race swapping them.
Is Kyle a redhead? Do you think they'd replace him too?
I don't know. It's really funny to think about that they're going this direction. Normally they I don't know if I agree with this, but they always say like, "Oh, we're not doing this for a political, gain. We're just doing it because it's funny." Like, here's the episode. Like, this is an actual episode.
All right, here's
as long as it's funny.
Here's a donation from gay actor Michael Douglas, as opposed to the actual Michael Douglas. The reason they're ugly is simple. The studios want their own Family Guy, a cheap product they can shit out and reap the rewards. The only adult animated show that I'm okay with looking ugly is Smiling Friends, since the art style adds to the surreal comedy. There's a good point. The style reflects the comedy, or should reflect comedy.
Yeah, I don't know, because this was a year ago, right? Did this video,
right?
I think they might bring up like Hell of a Boss, maybe.
Well, that's also very style. It feels like not a Ren and Stimpy style, but it's like that in the vein of, with just more refined lines and sharper animation.
I don't know if
wait, you don't want it. You've never seen it, right?
I've seen, well,
I've seen
not the
it.
whole episode, but I've seen clips all kinds of places.
Yeah, that's like, I think that show actually looks really good animation-wise, and the creator I know is inspired by like Invader Zim
Ooh.
Yeah.
and cartoons like that from the past.
Mhm.
Now, I watched the entire episode of Helva Boss, but me trying to deeply critique it, I'm afraid I might have some strong bias because the artist herself was an inspiration for me as an artist. So I
People
love her.
can, yeah,
Yeah.
people
Like,
question the writing a lot, but
oh
I
yeah.
think the animation is actually really appealing.
Yeah, I talked to someone named Wolf Boy Noah. We talked about it, and he said that the writing is not very consistent. The lore is not very consistent because it asks so many questions. Like, well, if you kill a human in the human world, wouldn't they just go to hell and take revenge? But you never really see them do that. So it's like, well, where do they go? Like, they're gonna go to hell, obviously, but there's I don't know. It just doesn't really explain a lot of questions. Like, you can kill a demon in hell, but it doesn't explain where it goes. Like, it's not like Doom Eternal where you could kill a demon and they just, I think they go somewhere. Like, I forgot the lore to Doom Eternal of what happens to the demons when you kill them. But yeah.
Well, let's not get into too philosophical concepts in these shows made to make you laugh. So anyway, here's one super chat. We'll get with the video. Vladimir Dragunov, thank you, sir. Off topic, but while I was in the gulag, I saw Onision in there. Oh my goodness.
Oh no.
And someone that looked like Mahler. I couldn't. How do you know what Mahler looks like?
Mahler.
I couldn't tell if it was him, but he stood at 10 meters tall. So maybe I don't know what you're implying there.
Believe it or not,
That's because he's a long man.
Oh.
Believe it or not, there are videos out there where Mahler has revealed his face. So.
Oh, okay. Well, I guess so. Good for him. All right. Thank you for that reference, I guess. I don't know what you're referring to, but thank you.
Well, he did say it
the
was
story.
off topic.
It's a continuation of the story from last time.
Oh, jeez. You really take your narrative seriously. Playing a character.
Yeah.
I got a story to tell on the Smudcast. Like, all right, okay.
Awesome. We have audience with character.
There's subplots going on in the background in the chat. What the hell?
The lore in Smudcast is my favorite lore.
Oh,
we have
dear.
lore?
Yeah.
And it's forever tied to EFAP for better or worse.
Oh, really? I thought it was Mike. Mike just makes.
I thought it was an intermission.
Oh, yeah. Well,
like it's like a side story for between seasons. But for the video, the title, why are adult animated shows ugly? That is, it sounds rather like a question for style and not about cheap animation.
Mm-hmm.
He has to narrow his width, yeah, or his scope, yeah.
Yeah, I think it is about what's another word for ugliness?
Unattractive.
Disturbing, unesthetic,
Sure.
anti-aesthetic.
Yep.
Surreal. Not surreal, but
no, you can be surreal yet and beautiful.
Distasteful.
Yeah, that is a good one. Distasteful, deliberately distasteful. And while that may be but Ren and Stimpy did it for other reasons. It did it as a basically that was real, genuine, wonderful words. But I know you love them. Or rather, let's say, justified counterculture. Ren and Stimpy was made in, you could say, total rebellion against Hollywood's censorship and trying to do as much as possible while also shitting on censors and then giving this fig leaf of, we're not doing the obvious ending that would be logical. Instead, we just dance happily. Everybody's fine. So it is deliberate nonsense. SpongeBob continued that a little bit, but the adult cartoons he's speaking of, because SpongeBob is not an adult animated show. is probably rather all this SJW nonsense we complained about these past years.
Well, there was
SpongeBob in the beginning definitely had higher standards for everything.
Yeah,
like it was addressed for adults and teenage, mostly a general audience. Like you could watch the old SpongeBob and actually
no problem.
No problem. But it's nowadays where they're like, let's dumb it down, like
because
really
they ran out
dumb
of
it.
ideas.
it's a zombification like The Simpsons.
Yeah.
Like
Well,
I think the first 6 seasons of SpongeBob are where people are like, this has the, because I think there was a specific person involved behind the scenes that dropped out after like the 6th season, and that's when you notice that, because the first seasons of SpongeBob have like college, like old school Comedy Central bar humor that still holds up, but yeah.
Well, in regards to Ren and Stimpy, like I remember the zoom-ins of scenes, and they'll show all the pimples and the hairs on someone's arm or face.
Yeah, SpongeBob
Yeah, that was
did
part
that
of
too.
that.
Yeah, and that's
That's that which they carried over.
which I wouldn't say is inherently ugly. It's not attractive, but it's the amount of detail they put into for that exact purpose of making you go, ugh, and then they go back to the joke. So you can do ugly scenes purposely and then go back to the animation style and keep things flowing and fast, whereas things like what's all the crappy American Western animation that is just like it's a bad story, it's bad
Steven Universe.
Yeah, it's silly, it's dumb, it's not very smart, it's all this other
It's not
nonsense.
a good kind of silly.
I would not say Steven Universe art style is ugly. It's just bland. That's it.
It got ruined a lot retroactively because then everybody was like, I'm going to look like Steven Universe.
Yeah, well, go on.
Yeah, I would say what has carried over into SpongeBob, that was the intentional disgust shock moment. That's okay. That has its purpose. But then you look at Rick and Morty, which is just ugly and disgusting all over, without these high quality disgust pictures, because those were special high quality stills basically, and Rick and Morty is just disgusting all over in every aspect. There's nothing nice to look at in the entire show, and there were some studies. I still haven't looked into them. I only remember the summary of them. Is that there's a type of demographic that when they don't grow up, they detest everything that is beautiful or cute, and they enjoy the disgusting.
Oh, you're
That's
looking
a
at
very, very childish thing.
You're looking at a persona or a type of mentality that people will like things which are inherently ugly or weird or strange, and they'll be attracted to that just because they're different. And they're like, oh, this is not attractive, therefore I like it, like a rebel. Like they're going through this rebellious phase of, I don't know, not necessarily punk, but it's the idea of just rebelling. So they're gonna wear black, they're gonna dye their hair, they're gonna
like, hey, fat is beautiful now.
Yeah, like prepubescent boys or on the cusp of puberty that like all the toys that are snot and slime and
right
zombie shit, like the super ugly stuff. And they also detest the things that are genuinely cute, that have this vibe of I want to protect this. And at that age they're repulsed by that.
Well,
and with these creators, that seems to carry over. They seem to be stuck in that phase, maybe.
It's kind of like the do you like Hello Kitty or Hamtaro? And as an adult, you go like, no, not really. But you kind of say, okay, that's for kids, and you understand why, and you let it be. You don't criticize it because why would you? It's for kids. There's nothing to do.
It's not allowed anymore.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm gonna get to the video as soon as we get this finished super chat. So
yeah.
Vladimir Dragunov, I'm not a fan of current animation of SpongeBob. Okay, I mean it's changed over the years, so that's fine. That's fair. You could like whatever you like.
The thing on the screen is I think I only saw the first season of SpongeBob, honestly, but this looks like one of the newer things.
Oh no,
that's
from
a
the movie.
All right, all right. Anyway, let's get going.
Still a good one?
But before you start, they you mentioned shows that would do like the sudden up close shots.
Yeah.
Another show that did that that's really underrated is The Misadventures of Flapjack.
Oh
If
yeah.
you've heard of that. But like you mentioned, that carried over from Ren and Stimpy. That's like the only other show I can think of that also did that kind of humor.
It sounds familiar. If it was during the 2000s, I probably saw it. I just don't remember.
Yeah, they had a very similar sudden up close, highly detailed of the character gags.
Interesting. Okay, I'll be sure to check it out. If I remember if I already saw it. Anyway, let's get started.
Money. That's the reason. It's cheap to make. Thanks for watching.
All right. Great video.
Good night, everybody.
Wait a minute, there's still an insert amount of time left in the video here. It can't be that simple, can it? Well, going back all the way to the first cartoon in, 1908? Mountain Dew hasn't even been invented yet. Okay, never mind that. Going back to the 20th century wave of adult-oriented cartoons, it was not how it is right now at all. We have stuff like Betty Boop and Furry Fun Time the Movie, and even Warner Brothers cartoons meant for an adult audience. But everything paled in comparison to when they came towards the later end.
Fritz the Cat is a special case. It was, so it is an adult cartoon, but it was deliberately made the way it was in the hopes that children would watch it. It was made with malicious intent, on playing on the prejudice that cartoons are for children, and parents would make their kids watch it, and it deserves its own coverage, honestly.
Ralph Bakshi, the maker of that cartoon, originally he wasn't going to make this cartoon because he wanted to make his own thing, but since Frisk the Cat was a recognized character, he used that. And I forgot the artist that made the comic Frisk Cat. He did kill off Frisk because he did not like what Ralph Bakshi was doing to his character. So... But that, like I said, like you said, that's a different cover. But I do like Frisk the Cat for how ridiculous it can be, but it's funny, for me at least.
Okay.
Animation ever really captured the attention of the nation, like... It was a cultural reset and launched adult animation into the mainstream. The first season...
No, not reset. The Simpsons also were counterculture at its time. It was, I think, was it Bush? The old Bush?
I don't remember when Simpsons came out.
Who complained about the Simpsons as anti-American because it didn't display a healthy fantasy American family, but a realistic one that had its troubles and got back together. But that it had real troubles, and that things were that the show jabbed at, in its comedic, lighthearted way, at problems in American society, was seen as a problem by the establishment. Now, the Simpsons are not counterculture anymore. It's just, the zombified...
A shambling corpse.
Joke of... we are still making a social critique by talking about the topic of the week, and look, here's a joke about Apple. There's no brain in it anymore.
Do you remember they made a joke? They had that one episode where Mr. Burns goes to an SJW college, and he's like,
"You mean Yale?"
Yale, yeah. And then they go up. The kids are like, "You're worse than Hitler," and he's like, "Oh, don't flatter me."
I really need to go and watch The Simpsons. I've never watched it.
It was getting old when I was in college, and I can't imagine what it's like now. So
well, I was never allowed to watch it, even though when I got older, when I was like, I would say like a teenager, my mom would never let me watch it. She said it was inappropriate.
Really?
It's weird.
Yeah.
Wow.
I never watched The Simpsons. It's weird to think of it as like adult animation to me because I think it's like Family Guy because it's more vulgar. But
Well, I think my mom was overly exaggerated with this cartoon because she would use like a Christian website that will review it and say, no, this is not appropriate.
Oh, wow.
It's not. it's not godly enough or fitting. Or I don't know what the website was, but it was stupid because they were disingenuous of what they were reviewing. They were reviewing it from the lens of their religious belief rather than actually looking at it more objectively. So
It was Ned
That
Flanders'
was the
website.
90s.
Yeah, there were super fans back in the day. I had a buddy of mine in college that he knew everything about Bowie and everything about The Simpsons. So that was like his fandom. So it was just, did you watch The Simpsons last week? I'm like, no. Sorry. Do you want to watch it now? It's like, no.
my friend is like that right now with South Park. He's like, dude, there's another episode of South Park. You want to watch it? I'm like, I mean, I might.
Yeah, all three of those are still going. Simpsons, Family Guy, South
Yeah.
Park.
The thing with The Simpsons is you can't fully classify it as adult animation. Certainly not the first couple seasons, the good ones, because it is the type of cartoon that bridges the gap. In a way, SpongeBob does that as well, because it is watchable by both children and adults, so that parents can watch it together with their children without being bored to death or dying of cringe at what the fuck am I letting my child watch here? But because that's why you have two levels of humor in these. You have the direct, easy to understand humor for children, and then you have this higher layer that is comprehensible by adults with life experience, with a frontal lobe and such magical things. And you see some deeper meaning in that. SpongeBob has that as well. That is what made the writing so timeless and good in it. It's not just the silly fart jokes.
All right.
Well, now it is.
Here is a donation from No Cunny for Old Men.
Wow.
No cunning.
Yeah, I know. A lot of sexual humor. For clarity, those adult-themed Looney Tunes cartoons were made for the GIs during World War II. Anyway, seems to me these days, when it comes to child-aimed media, cartoons aren't made for children. They're made by children. Also, Fritz the Cat is Kino.
Mm-hmm.
Kino, what does that mean?
Just pure
European
fun.
term for cinema.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And for some
that's
reason,
what that
for some
means?
yes, and for
Oh, that
some
makes so
reason,
much
I think I blame Stargate Universe for bringing that term into the English language now, and giving it this connotation of special, awesome cinema. Like, it just means cinema.
Yeah, you guys never saw Stargate Universe, but that's a little floating balls that act as cameras. They call it the Kinos. Like, hey, that's cool. But yeah, that was the thing. Yeah. Anyway.
You know,
So, like on the subject of adult animation, would you say has anyone seen Duckman?
Yes.
no.
That'll-
Duckman?
Yes, I have.
Yeah, it's so Duckman's basically what Family Guy ripped off, and people, but like Duckman is I'd say more adult animation than early Simpsons.
Yeah, it's the same concept of you get a comedian to be the lead of the show, not necessarily like there's like all these comedians that have their own show, or even like Bebe's kids that have video game or bullshit like that. Like, so you get the comedian to write the stuff, to star in this thing, and you're like, oh, this is gonna draw itself. They'll just have fun. And it was rough. Like when you watch the show, it is a rough style of animation, and it was, at times it was good, at times it was very good. So I don't know how popular it was. It went on for at least 2 years, I think. Can't remember.
Yeah, but Edda and Eddie was kind of rough, but
Yeah.
like
Edda and Eddie's great. Like,
I don't like Edda and Eddie. That's not to say I think I'm saying it's bad. I just never really got into it, even though I probably would, because I watched certain cartoons like SpongeBob, and I'm like, this should be up my alley, but for some reason it isn't.
that's a
I never watched it because I just couldn't like the style, because I don't like graffiti style in the first place. I don't know where to look, because there's no perspective or anything, and everything is all over the place.
He's bringing up
Doesn't
early
work with my
cartoons,
brain.
And Ed and Eddie had a very specific choice made. of of all the characters and the environment have like shaking outlines, and that was done specifically to emulate early cartoons.
Yeah, and I understand the artistic choice. I see that is an actual art style, one that justifiably can call itself that. I don't need to like it.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. It's just
it's
a choice that gives it identity. And I like
Yeah, and this is contrary to all this Cal art stuff, the really ugly and boring Cal art stuff, and then what Rick and Morty is, because that is just deliberately either lazy or deliberately ugly, but not in something that I would even call it is a style, but I wouldn't call it art. It's not on that. It's not on that level of creative endeavor.
Yeah, it's not like it's not a choice to complement what the show's going for, because Ed and Eddie did that because it wanted to have a massive slapstick like style of humor, and that kind of art style helped it.
Well, I'm not gonna pretend like I'm an expert in this. Like, I always harshly critique my work, thinking it looks bad, but that's just me. But anyway,
That's because you're a self-conscious artist who hates everything he does.
Okay.
Ouch. But Smud, you're the Canadian.
over
How do
it.
you judge Ed and Eddie?
It has some visual elements which work with the comedy very well, and you have to actually like the comedy. So it's kind of a taste. It's an acquired taste at Ed and Eddie, I would say.
the one thing that makes me laugh is where I forgot who his name is, but he's smacking his face on the ground saying, "I'm a woodpecker."
Yeah, Ed.
Well,
Well, it was the most popular Cartoon Network show, and it came from Canada.
it's so stupid, but it was funny.
Canada does weird stuff, and sometimes it hits, and sometimes it's campy as hell. So it can work. It works with some adaptations, like La Femme Nikita. It works very well. And there's like a dozen or so shows every year on Showcase or now basically streaming, I would assume, that just don't hit, or they get relegated to the Women's Television Network. So yeah, like the same way that the South America has like soap operas every season. It's kind of like that. People just love it. They're super dramatic and melodramatic, and boom, they go away. And they just recycle the actors.
Whoa.
Anywho, let's get on with the video.
TV series to break into the top 30 highest rated shows, even winning an Emmy, and over the next decade, other similar shows would break out into the norm. Shows like King of the Hill and South Park followed by
how could I
Futurama
forget King of the
and Family
Hill?
Guy.
Gosh.
A new genre of television was established, the
only
Oz,
real American
adult animated sitcom. Each of these shows in this era had its own respective style, with a unique cast of characters and situations, combined with strong writing teams that made them the successes that they are. Now, skipping ahead to today, a lot of adult animation is just
They don't have strong art or strong writing.
So what happened?
Is it
Why
for
this our
adults,
reality?
or is it
How did
for-
we get stuck with the
So this is the question: is it it is for adults, but are the adults for which it is, are they mentally adults?
Or
I
they're on
don't
Netflix,
know.
so I don't.
Yeah, you'd have to actually interview the creators and the writers, and you'll find out very quickly.
Yeah, but with Big Mouth, we specifically know that it is a show made by pedophiles for pedophiles.
The one thing I have a problem with a lot of these adult shows, and it's a trend, but they follow the mentality of, because it's adult, we get to say all the cuss words we want, sex jokes, gross out jokes, drug jokes, but there's no cleverness behind it. It's just like that excuse, and it's like, just because you're an adult cartoon does not mean you get to say fuck 24 hours, and this is what a lot of these cartoons do, and it gets draining.
It's so juvenile, infantile, that they believe that is what makes something adult.
No.
If you say fuck, and
And
that's simply not it. The the brain that they don't have is what makes it adult.
Yeah, and for me, I tried to avoid that with my content, because it's like, well, just because I'm doing something adult doesn't mean I have to say fuck 24 hours, because why would you do that?
Actually, because that is still not adult, that is still juvenile.
Yeah.
I just noticed that. Sorry, that I've never seen this. Maybe this is special with this character that he chose to put on screen. That is a negative head-to-body ratio.
I really hate it. It's just
That is. Oh.
I love it when
And then
foreheads are like
legs, but
3 times the size of the face. It's amazing.
yes, but this is not even a 2-head sized character. This is a negative. This is a negative head to body ratio. The head is bigger than the body.
Yeah, I know.
Wow.
Terrifying. Anyway.
Things that. By the way, for the sake of research, I tried to watch a bit of that.
I hate
but
to agree on that.
It's
I totally agree on
and
that.
everything that Cats 2019 wanted to be. But basically what happened is that sort of style launched a lot of the first ones, so it was replicated and made worse. There was a certain visual formula
That was the good
and
one.
those that followed that formula are the ones that got invested in. Meanwhile, the hidden gems that diverted from that, they were tossed aside for safer options. Just by looking at these, you know they're meant for adults. Like a frat boy with generational wealth, they reek of raunchy humor. I've also seen the argument made that that's part of the joke. Like it's so bad that it's good. No? Ugly and bland looking shows are the norm because it's more acceptable for their demographic. Like, this obviously isn't some dumb sponge baby cartoon for babies, so it's okay for me, an adult that pays taxes and resents his wife and has heartburn. It's okay
I don't think that the people who watch these things necessarily do pay taxes. I think a lot of them are on welfare.
Okay.
I don't watch a lot of these adult shows because, like I said, they just over exaggerated the adulteries, and I'm like,
The adultery.
well, I don't know other ways to call it, but
Adultism's just.
yeah,
I do feel violated watching these. Yes.
yeah.
I mean, these were made by people in California, so there's probably a lot of adults, to be honest.
Okay.
Like when I watch South Park, I feel like it's respecting the audience. Like, we know we're adult, but let's actually try to be clever with it. Not and that's what they do. And I'm like, okay, I feel like it's treating adults, like they're not just the stupid, fuck, sex, drugs. It's like, that doesn't make it adult. That just makes it dumber.
Like if you look at
South Park,
certain shows. Go ahead.
South Park has earned its ugly and disgusting and even juvenile moments.
Yeah.
Yes.
It works. The animation and the jokes work together. Like look at I was going to say Archer. Like if it did not have that certain art style, the jokes would not land because you're trying to have this realistic world, and it's sort of like a cartoon or a cutout of a comic of what a spy lifestyle would be. So it feels like you're reading a comic book, but it's animated and it's got all these silly little 2-dimensional vibes to it. And
Archer looked to me like, what if Hanna-Barbera had money?
And did something adult and funny and corny and a little crass. It's like, oh, okay, cool. And obviously they're using computers to animate that and make it life easier. But without that, it wouldn't work. It would just imagine looking like The Simpsons. It just would not work. You'd be like, this is goofy. This is not to be taken seriously.
Same with any, I think, cartoon, even for kids like Tom and Jerry. They did a specific art style to get across all sorts of subtle details with the humor.
Well, with that, because there's very little dialogue in those stories, the animation is the story essentially. So when you see Tom like with the nefarious look on his face, he's, I'm gonna get him, and he plans something like basically the Roadrunner and the Coyote. It's the same idea. And does that sell? Does that emotion come across quickly? Yes, it does. And he runs into a wall or whatever. So you need that style to connect. And that's why when the visuals suck, that has to be this sort of afterthought. It's like a secondary priority, whereas the jokes have to be, or the writing has to be so good that it makes you laugh, that the crappiness of the animation, if it is crappy, is what he was referring to as it's so bad it's good, because everything else was good. And here's this really dumb part, which is the visuals, or whatever South Park does when there's like, someone shits himself or blows up and all this blood everywhere. Like that's like, oh, that's kind of goofy.
Yeah, like part of the humor is the animation itself.
Yeah, it's so
like
bad.
It's meant to look bad.
Yeah, it looks so bad it works because the joke, right? Which is kind of
I don't know if.
Which is kind of like a phenomenon of 70s of science fiction B movies, that you're like, that's so crazy and corny and campy that it just works. So
the importance of the animation, I think, is like, it's maybe in the reverse way. It's why these Disney live action things don't work. It's because they're doing a lot of the same stuff that the animated films do, but they don't work in live action because they don't have.
It really depends on, because some of them do work. I would say like Beauty and the Beast for me worked well because it was a one-to-one, almost a one-to-one of the Disney, and they added more detail as well, like the housing, the village they were in, the castle.
Yeah.
Like I was like, wow, that looks amazing. Like I would actually go to the cinema and have a good time because visually it looks amazing. The actors, I hope it's the actors that are actually singing. So the music was good, the visuals were good. And I know the story. They're not detracting from the story, which is perfect. Like don't change it if you don't have to. So
and then there's stuff like Aladdin and Lion King where it just
That
I
is
think Beauty and the Beast is considered the best live action one so far.
Really? Oh.
And soon to be Snow White. Like Snow White hasn't even come
Did you hear
out.
Daily Wire is doing the Snow White story as well?
Yeah, I'm not gonna watch it because I'm not really interested in it. But some people, I think I heard somewhere where people are just saying like, "Oh, Matt, the Daily Wire is racist agenda of their version of Snow White," and I'm like, you literally changed a race of a character. Where if you looked, or I don't know if it was like in the book or the actual anime show, where they said Snow White's skin was white as snow. That's not white as snow. That's just brown of shit.
There is snow of that size. It's when you didn't clean up the snow, and you get all the sludge from the cars driving by, all the pollution that settles down on the snow, and then it gets all muddy and mixed with the ash, and it's just all disgusting and horrible.
Yeah.
And when you step in it makes this slushy sound. And that's what the Disney's live action Snow White is.
Well,
yeah, and they always
fired her, right?
I don't know. They should.
No,
they should.
She's still there.
They should.
I could have sworn I saw articles saying Disney was replacing.
Really? I didn't hear that.
I just hate these people saying like, "Oh, the Daily Wire is racist," and with their political agenda. Yet, when you look at Disney and see how they're doing it, it's like, I don't think so. These are the same people that said that The Sound of Freedom was a right-wing political shit. I watched the movie. The only political thing that they talked about is don't fuck kids. That's it.
Wow, that's political, huh?
Yeah, but look, this is the same people that complained about Sound of Freedom were the people that cheered for cuties.
Oh,
and yeah, I think that has everything.
All right, let's not go there. Let's get on with the video. Let's
not talk about the French.
Here is Hillary Clinton. Hey, Hillary, how you doing? Archer is one of the few shows that can pull off the lovable sociopath trope well. I also dig that the art took inspiration from the Steve Ditko, Jack Kirby era of Marvel Comics. It was a good show. Mm-hmm. And then the coma season started. I don't know. They did a lot of things in the last few seasons that I was like, oh, they're changing the setting and some of the plots. And I was like, okay, that's like they changed the name because ISIS is a, you can't use the name ISIS because we're fighting ISIS. America doesn't like that. A lot of dumb shit that had to happen. So
when was that season? Like in 20?
It must have been the 4th or 5th. I can't remember exactly when. It's been a while. I've not seen Archer in years. Anyway, let's keep going. Anytime.
But this. Speaking as a former child who randomly woke up.
I've never seen
in the
Adventure
middle of the
Time,
night
but I
and
hear
went
it's
to watch
good.
Cartoon Network only to be absolutely.
It has a compelling start, I would say.
I never really got into it. I saw like the first episode and I was like, okay, that's not
It's
for me.
one of those things that also dies from, in part, woke writing and in part just complete incompetence. And it's just, at some point, it starts out as if it looks like everything's planned out and you just slowly explore this wacky world. And then later on you notice, no, it's actually not as philosophical as it tries to in the undertones as it pretends to be. It's just sophistry. It's just sophist nonsense.
I remember when I told people that not Steven Universe, but Adventure Time was not was a boring cartoon for me, and they're like, "Man, you're just the most boringest person ever," and I'm like, "Sorry if my taste is different from yours."
Okay.
Chicken intro.
Oh, Robot
it sort
Chicken.
Of worked.
Wait, if you don't like the most mainstream thing, then you're boring?
Cartoons are.
Say that again.
Wait, you got accused of being boring for not liking the most mainstream cartoon of the time?
Yeah, I mean, I get people telling me I'm boring for just not for different things, like.
Yeah,
or...
look. This is why it's nonsense.
Yeah.
Not liking the most mainstream thing doesn't make you boring. Liking the most mainstream thing is what can make you boring.
Yeah, well, I know that, but it's just like I'm just like people are saying you're boring or you don't have a lot to say, so you must be boring. It's like, well, first off,
they just say it because you don't like what they like.
Well, that too, yeah, obviously, but I don't care. Like just because I don't like it or I don't have a few words to say, doesn't make me boring. It's just I don't really have much to say. I only say things when I need to be said.
No, it's just a really boring insult to give to people.
Yeah.
Because those people couldn't tell you why they liked the thing in the first place.
Yeah.
For kids. I once told somebody who wasn't even like an adult, they were in college, by the way, that I was gonna watch Mulan with some friends, and their reaction was just, what? You're gonna watch a cartoon made for children? Take, for example, Spider-Verse, an absolutely visually appealing and fun concept that's celebrated by all and even won an Oscar aside from other awards. But out of
this
all
came
the
out before
Spider-Man
the sequel,
movies,
didn't
it's
it?
made the least amount of money, coming in at a little more than half of what The Amazing Spider-Man 2 got. And that's the same movie that brought us this. And that's what it all comes down to. Money! Why take a risk when this other way of doing things is proven to bring in the big bucks? And while you're making money, might as well save some, right? In terms of animation, it's really cheap for everyone to stand still until it's their turn to talk and move their hand up. And for emotional scenes that consist of the characters taking their time to smile, tilting their heads while the camera zooms in. That's how it is in the West, but let's take a look at how Japan treats
I hate Family Guy now.
Well, Family Guy is cheap to make. That is part of the point. But and the creation process for South Park is so streamlined at this point that they can shit out a well-written episode about a thing that happened the same week.
Yeah, but they still gotta take like
yeah.
Time.
The thing about South Park is it looks kind of cheap, but it really isn't.
Yeah, it's really well put together. I know a lot of people. There's been several different debates whether or not if South Park still holds up to this day. I used to say no, it doesn't anymore. But then going back and watching it, I guess all over again, I'm like, yeah, I would say it still holds up to this day. Like
it's pretty good at oscillating around the same level.
Yeah,
the creators also know that they're under an expectation to just make fun of everything.
Well,
so they can...
yeah, but that takes time to come up with the clever writing, which obviously they've been doing very well, keeping that up, and it's a surprise that they hadn't burned out yet.
What was the counterexample I wanted to bring up? Because that Family Guy scene really reminded me of the opposite of that. Where's my fort? Has anyone seen it?
It's over there.
It's over there.
I'll be right back.
All right. We'll keep going.
Oh, that's a Neon Genesis doll
What?
in the left corner.
That's a Chibi Ray doll. I don't know why you would get a Chibi Ray, but okay.
Well,
You're a Asuka guy.
if there's one good thing to come out of Neon Genesis, it's probably Ray, but yeah.
You don't like Shinji?
As a doll?
Does anyone like Shinji? No. Just in general?
No, I don't think anyone likes...
Joe Crazy says a single episode of Family Guy costs about $2 million. I do not believe that.
I don't
How?
believe it either. Like, that animation or the style is so, again, bland. I miss the old style of Family Guy because at least it was very good. Like, well, obviously because they were hand drawing it, but yeah.
Alrighty, anyway.
Wait, no, wrong one, wrong file, not that one. Ah, there we go. Animation is much more accepted there, and it's very common for it to be advertised absolutely everywhere, even with huge promotional public makeovers.
Oh my
like
gosh.
a train going through its sword art phase. And in terms of anime costs, it tends to pay off for them. Family Guy averages at about $2 million per episode. That's right.
So
it
that
took
or just
$2 million
aggressive
to rip in
advertisement.
Peace Brian, and another $2 million to bring him back right after. Meanwhile, one popular anime episode can roughly cost between $120,000 and $180,000 USD. That's a
Dragon Ball
fraction
costs
of the cost it
180,000?
took to make this. Even the most expensive anime
was a nice
episodes
edit.
ever, from Death Note coming in at $1 million each episode, is only half of Peter's episode budget.
Wow.
So the money is
What?
out there for great
Never.
animation. But again, Western studios just
Are
don't take
are
that risk.
Westerners
A
just
reason
so
anime-
bad at you? I mean, yeah, they are.
Well, no, it's
funny,
about
yeah.
stock and demand. If you have a whole culture of people who love art and were raised on it, who become animators, and there's keyframers, and there's colorists, and all kinds of other dudes, the demand to be in those jobs are high, so they pay them less. Whereas
Yeah.
in the States, it's a very niche thing. I know only one animator who was classically trained, who was a Flash guy, who did 3D. Like, he does a little bit of everything just to get by, and he works at, there's maybe like 8 or 9 animation studios in Toronto, but they're all tiny. And you don't know what they do. They might do a video game. They might do an obscure children's show. They might do some app for some client, and that's it. Like, it's hard to get work. So it's very niche. And I imagine it's better in the States just because there's more demand. But the actual
But
actors...
how does Family Guy cost more than what the Japanese are doing?
I could imagine that. Wait, no, that also doesn't make sense. My angle would have been, well, maybe the voice actors are so famous people that they cost
That's a
silly
good
amounts of
point.
money. But then that would be the same thing in Japan.
Also, Seth MacFarlane voices like half the characters in the show.
Yeah.
So he pays himself.
He has to.
I forgot, like, they pay voice actors too. That's right. But
Yeah, I don't know how many people he has in his studio, but yeah, he mostly does his own voice acting.
I just know with voice acting, not animating studios in the West, that a lot of the costs, it's like, I don't know if it plays into it, like, all the crunch that sometimes happens. People on YouTube complain about that. Like how
Look,
animators
if
get fucked.
but if for half the price I can get anime quality, then I'll go to Japan for
Yeah.
whatever project I want to do.
Yeah, this is why the manga, the anime, or the animation and the comics in Japan are better. You have way more people fighting, doing much more work, and they're all competing with each other.
And I just simply, it's not just that it's cheaper. It's rather that I get better quality for my buck, and that is not that then is not cheap. That is just, I don't know what the English word for that is. There's a word between cheap and expensive, which is a good
Good
price for quality.
Fair price?
I don't. I'm sure there's a word that is just archaic and lost. Right. My counterexample of Western stuff would be Castlevania, the Castlevania cartoon. It's not an anime. It's a fucking cartoon. They claim it's an anime. It's not.
Netflix claims it's anime to advertise.
Yeah, because Netflix is a bunch of fucking liars that push pedophile movies.
Well,
The thing with Castlevania is that it is as badly animated as all this other shit. You just don't notice it right away because it uses these fancy skyboxes. Here and there's a fancy background, but the actual character animation is absolute garbage tier.
Yeah,
it's literally the same people that says like the new Scott Pilgrim show is an anime, and it's like, no, it's not. It may have like the aesthetics. What anime?
We use Japanese eye style, so it's anime. Wow.
Yeah, I don't know why people always say Scott Pilgrim is an anime, and I'm like, no.
it was originally a comic, right?
It's a comic. Like it was made by a Canadian writer who I think got inspired by anime, obviously, if you read the book. And you know, he joined, like, he was part like a band, which also gave him inspiration for Sex Bob-omb. And yeah, he lived in Canada. Also, okay, thank you for clarifying that it's a Canada comic. Thanks, Scott E. But yeah. What were we gonna say about Ga?
Huh? I was gonna say, did anyone see Invincible? Because that shows the superhero show Invincible. People shit on that a bit for it looks cheap, and I remember watching some of it, and there's these very few moments where it suddenly uses like 3D animation for like blinking.
That's where the budget went.
Yeah, no, the thing is the 3D animation looks terrible, and it's in these very small moments, and I don't know if that reflects that it was cheaply made or not.
In general, you can see that in forgot the character's name, the female superhero. Because the whole show, because I didn't know the comic before, the whole show, I couldn't tell what the symbol on her superhero suit was. That was supposed to be a Venus sign with the electrons going around it. But there's only, I think, 2 shots where you can actually see it like that. On all the other shots, it's just a circle that is crossed out. Because they didn't even bother to draw that thing right. Which also gave off the vibe, because it seemed like they were trying to put this character down, that they also didn't like the character in the first place. And this was a jab at we hate you, so we make your symbol look like you're crossed out. But that's just my interpretation of that. It's just an utterly cheap thing on an important detail. Why would you be cheap on the superhero's emblem?
Oh, I guess you still have me block, but not
What?
here. Oh, nothing. There's an artist I followed years ago, and for some reason I got blocked by him, but he made another account, so I can follow him on there because I really like his artwork. But if he's gonna block me for being a piece of shit, you know what? Fuck him.
Well,
okay, off-topic drama. I looked up the word günstig that I was looking for. That doesn't seem to be a good word in English for it. Low priced might be close. Reasonably priced. What was there? Salutary. That sounds nice. That sounds nice and archaic.
I've never heard that word, so.
That's a very specific word to talk about the quality of an animation.
Salutary. The cost quality balance.
Yeah, this animation is reasonably priced for the amount of episodes.
You need a word for günstig.
Okay.
Can you not have a word for that?
I'm sure we do. I just don't think in terms of cost-benefit analysis for cartoons.
We have that ingrained in our language. Maybe that's what makes the difference between us.
Oh.
between the Germans and the Anglos.
Every dinner time is like, this is worth the chewing time it takes. The money was worth it. Oh my god.
Yes, it is literally a term for this is worth the money I pay for it.
Price is right.
I'm glad I had that coupon. Okay, anyway, let's keep going.
Popular in Japan is because it respects the audience, be it with toilet humor or with eye bleach inducing frames.
Whoa.
That's also why they have an audience outside of Japan. It's also generally treated as an experience. You watch it and wait.
I don't
every
think
week
it's
for
really
the next
fair to
episode
compare
and interact with fans online
stuff
and
like
make
Family
memes.
Guy to
Imagine what
Attack
the
on
world would-
Titan.
Yeah.
Imagine
Of
what-
course it is.
We're comparing an entirely different style, an entirely different industry, and saying, well, look, in the West, we animate like this and we pay our people that. It's like, yeah, in Japan, they have like 1,000 times the output.
Yeah, but look, if we go by the cost quality analysis, comparison, then we can compare the animation. Because why the fuck does that cost double the amount of that?
That's a good point. I don't get it.
Why do I have to pay triple the amount for a line on canvas
Well, that's the same argument
than for the Mona Lisa?
with quantity, because if you have all these people competing and there's all this industry making a product, they're going to learn not to make crap just because they have to survive, as opposed to we're going to do 2 million or 1 million a show of a sitcom that's been syndicated for how long has Family Guy been on the air? A decade at least?
Like 25 years now.
2 decades? It's incredible. So it's kind of established that that's all they've got. And that is that still in TV land, or is that now on like a streaming service? Or they just syndicate it to streaming service?
TV land.
I have no. I think it's still running on cable.
Yeah, I think so. Like I got the new Frasier on this. I think the CBC or it's one of our broadcasting stations, but I don't think it came from that. I think it came from streaming. I'm not sure. So it's playing catch up, and the TV world is dying off. So whatever they've got, they're holding on to. And I think that's part of it. So with anime though, it's like you're comparing the Mecca, it's like going to Brazil and watching them play soccer, like watching kids play soccer compared to people in Canada or kids playing soccer in Canada. The culture is huge. It's gigantic.
It's like comparing American spaghetti to actual Italian spaghetti.
I don't know what it's like. I'm sure pasta's different everywhere in the world. Maybe
You never had Italian pasta?
Of course I've had Italian pasta. What are you talking about? I mean, compared to like Chinese noodles to Italian.
Oh, like real Chinese food to American Chinese.
Like not Cantonese American or North American Cantonese, but I mean like actual Chinese food, because there's 5 major cuisines in China, and going and trying that and going, oh, okay, that's how it should be, compared to the fast food MSG or whatever laden it's seasoning we have. So I'm not saying it's bad, because I have excellent Chinese food in Toronto, but it takes a year or two to find them because there's so many.
It's just, yeah.
I thought
it's
since
just the
more
industries
people-
making them are inherently different.
Oh, yeah.
Since more people are fleeing China to the US right now, you can get authentic and same, if not better quality hot pot in the US now than in China.
Right, yeah.
Partly because they can afford the ingredients and not use gutter oil.
Well, it's different. In America, they will Americanize, like they changed pizza for America or other things.
No. I mean, restaurants inside the Chinese diaspora.
Okay, well,
Not restaurants for Americans.
I will argue, because I always compare the immigration of, like, say Chinese to Canada and in America is different, because I'd say about 30, 40 years ago, maybe even more than that, we had immigrants come in and there was a big demand for their cuisine and their products and services. And there's like all these people saying, let's just import the actual produce, grow it ourselves, and just make it as we were taught when we were kids or in our households. And that's pretty much what happens in Canada. In the States, it's transformed. It's Americanized. It's altered to be part of the culture.
But that's the old phase of that. What currently happens is another phase of immigrants that is just moving into the diaspora, into the parallel culture. They don't cook for Americans. They cook for their own people. So that's where you would, if you would go there, you would get the authentic food as
Yeah.
it is in China.
Because in Toronto, at least I could say, we have at least 7 sections dedicated to Mandarin, Chinese, Taiwanese, Shandong, like all these specific regions from China that were just, you live there. Like you speak Chinese, you speak whatever language you came from, and everyone gets along. And the restaurants are amazing. There's what's that tour? I can't remember the dance they celebrate. Not the Moon Festival, but the it happens is it November or is it February? And it's just this amazing dance, stage performance. I can't remember what it's called, but it's incredible. So it's a little different than, I guess, if you go to Europe or
I can
mainland.
also attest that even in Germany, we have lots of Vietnamese here. We basically had Vietnamese immigration in the same way, and a buddy of mine from the local arts university, Vietnamese. He was, because they're all kind of related. It's like one giant clan of Vietnamese people, and so he had to visit all his uncles and aunts every time. And that's how we got around a lot of the Vietnamese restaurants. That's how I learned that they're all sort of related, at least per town. And when you then sit down with the actual family in the restaurant, they cook completely differently. It's absolutely amazing.
It depends.
Like some stuff is a bit weird because you have this cultural divide. Like the same way that other people wouldn't eat German Met. They have this thing of eating like chunks of just raw pork. It eats like chewing gum. I was about to throw up, but it's like for them it's just like a snack in between. It's wrapped in an, I don't know what the leaf was. It probably wasn't an olive leaf, but so it's wrapped in a leaf, and you have this like, what is it? Imagine almost an inch cube of pork, raw pork, and you just put it in your mouth and chew the whole thing. Like,
well,
absolutely.
There's all kinds of, I don't know if you're familiar with the banquet style of cuisine in China, and there's all kinds of those places in the GTA. And we have multiple versions of Chinese burros in the GTA. My brother married a Chinese girl, and we had several banquets in multiple restaurants that were just fantastic. Like they treat you like gold. They have these classical dishes. They serve red bean soup and shark fin soup and all kinds of other wonderful things that you just don't get anywhere else. So I don't think that's been Americanized or North Americanized. It's just, this is what they do to celebrate the birth of a new child or a christening or whatever the celebration might be. So there's things that are definitely unchanged. That
I think this whole thing of adapting your cuisine to the country that you're going to, I think that might be changing a bit. Because there's a new Japanese restaurant here, for example, that they just make it like in Japan. They don't care about what any locals want, and people love them for it. And they have the menu where there's all the standard stuff on it. But if you know, but they can make anything else from Japan as well. So if you know what you want, you can just ask for something off the menu from Japan, and they'll make it for you.
Yeah, it's great. They have their own.
It's awesome.
They have their own kinds of broccoli. They have their own lettuce, like bok choy and yu choy. There's broccolini. Like, there's all these examples of foods and types of foods that you think you know, but they're actually authentic from China and Hong Kong. And it's amazing stuff. And that's the good thing about multiculturalism, but that's not the best thing. It's just part of how you integrate and have a happy economy.
I'd say that's the one good thing aspect of what you could call multiculturalism.
Just getting good food.
Yeah. This is where you bring the positive aspects of your culture somewhere else, and we can share in it.
And everyone can accept it because it's food.
Yeah, and then but that's the only real thing. And I think that's been a thing for a very long time, and I wouldn't even give it this politically, ideologically
No.
loaded term multiculturalism.
Yeah, leave it alone.
Because that means something way, way bigger and way more sinister.
Yeah, like
I
leave.
mean, you've totally got people who would be like, "I'm not going to eat a hamburger. That's American food."
I have someone in the like they have their own Chinese restaurant. I don't know if it's like authentic. I think they said it kind of is, but since they live in America, you may not get the full authenticness of it, but it's really good.
You won't get fried dog feet.
Okay. All right. I think we've meandered a bit too much here.
Yeah.
Always on food.
Let's get back to cartoons.
What better topic?
Yeah.
Would be like if we did that, but for American Dad. They have so many different types of mature animation, tackling a wide range of genres. It's also kind of weird how out here in the West, while aimed at a younger audience, children's animations are the ones that are bringing up a discussion about quote-unquote mature topics, while the adult animations would probably just make them the butt of a joke. Why are most adult animations comedies anyway? Not to discredit the actual funny writing teams behind the best show.
Because, as we mentioned before, they're not adults that make these. In order to make a non-comedy that is entertaining to watch, in whatever emotional range you're going, it needs competent writers to write superficial comedies. That's not difficult.
I would argue anything is comedy drama. They're not
a good comedy. A good
to...
comedy that is difficult to write, but these things are also not good comedies. They're just meh.
Also, I would not call Steven Universe like adult topics good.
It brings in adult topics.
Yeah, but
it does it in a really bad way.
Yeah, that's what I was getting at.
Just like Adventure Time.
Now,
really bad.
Now, Gumball, I'm not really so sure. Like, it's smart of how they go about with the writing, because I remember, like, when they brought up, like, Gumball saying, "I have the power of the SW," and I'm like, oh god, this is...
Yeah, but it was well executed. The thing is, I haven't seen the season where that episode is in. I only had seen the clips from that. I had seen the first 2 seasons, and then I'd forgotten about Gumball. But when I watched Gumball for the first time back then, I thought, this show is one of the CalArts style exceptions, because it is really well written, and it has the chance to get up there with the old Simpsons, with the good part of Family Guy, with South Park, if it keeps the quality and the wit. And the thing that also distinguishes it from the CalArts style is that it is not just CalArts. It is Gumball's. Gumball's family is the standard CalArts style. But every character in that world is done in its own animation style. Some are 2D, some are 3D. Some are paper cuts. Some are Muppets. Some are upside down chins doing a dress.
The funny thing is, it was one of the episode where Nicole had to fight another kid's mom.
Mom, I think.
Yeah, and it went, and I didn't know about this until I did research, but Trigger Animation came in and animated that one scene, that one fight scene for Gumball, and I was blown away. A kid's show that maybe not a lot of, well, this was my perspective, but a lot of people probably wouldn't give a shit about. It got Trigger, probably the well-known animators behind Gumball, and it looked fantastic.
Well, yeah, because this is the great thing. Gumball is it plays with animation styles. It's the one cartoon that really deserves the words transcend and subvert the whole, because it does it with the entire idea of animation. It even has there was this one episode where the villain turned out to be a discarded character from the first season because he just didn't work. He was disliked, and then there was this paper fold in the world that everybody just walked by, and then goes, wait, wasn't there a house here? Wait, something's missing. And then I realized there's the subspace where all the discarded ideas are.
All the viewer
It's brilliant.
projections.
Well, I like the concept of the things that we find objectionable. Let's say in Steven Universe, the fusion theme or the fusion element. It's sort of this pseudo-sexual concept that makes people go, what are they doing? Like, how does this work? Why are they doing it this way? Why is it presented that way? Whereas another story, let's say Dragon Ball is all about fighting. The story's about fighting. And that's just a new version of them powering up to fight. It's the whole thing. There's nothing sexual about it. It's just, we're doing this to win. It's like, it's plot centric. Whereas it's a whole other thing in Steven Universe. And the most modern example, I think, is the last episode of the previous Castlevania, where it was a plot point to merge Dracula and was it his wife, I think, together in this weird pseudo body. And yeah, it's cool that they sort of explained that as a plot point, but didn't really go anywhere outside of them going, wow.
They just wanted to. I think they just wanted to do it.
I think they just wanted to make some weird demonic scenario, and then they changed the lore as a result, changing the entire storyline of Dracula. You're like, oh shit, now what are they going to do? It's no longer about Dracula because he's alive again.
Yeah, but that's the whole Castlevania cartoon. The Adi Shankar, I think, is a giant hack because he admitted that he didn't care about Castlevania. He just has this license to do something with it and then shove his own garbage into it, as well as the woke ideology bullshit.
It's like a mix.
Like half Netflix.
Yeah,
doesn't care about the story of the games.
It's like a mix of, okay, we're not going to make it sexual, but we're going to make it weird and creepy and demonic and evil, and we're also going to break lore, and we're going to do these other plot points.
Yeah, the weird, creepy, sexual stuff in the previous episodes where they pushed a bunch of ugly lesbian vampires into it, and of course then the pedophile rape of Alucard.
Oh, that was fun. Yeah.
See,
Are you talking about the newest one?
No, the previous last few episodes of the last show. Yeah.
Why is this always a Netflix thing that all this creepy self-insert garbage gets in?
Well, I was trying to.
There might be a pattern.
I was trying to connect it to the theme or the element of fusion of bodies coming together, and it's always this weird, creepy version in the West. And it's just like a normal plot-specific element, magical thing. That
I think it was that might have just been the attempt of, oh, we're doing Christian stuff. Let's make an unholy reflection of Adam Lilith.
Maybe
Adam Lilith hybrid.
I remember.
It's also an Amazon thing.
Oh yeah,
Rings of Power.
There's a fusion in Amazon as well, or the Rings of Power.
No, but there's like this same kind of self-insert writing shit.
Oh, okay.
This
and
is
it's
why.
Just,
I think Netflix should be raided by the feds and just checked. Everyone working there checked for having illicit content on their hard drives.
It's a miracle we got Daredevil at all from Netflix.
Yeah. All right. Anyway,
See, this is. Well, sorry.
I was going to give examples of like anime doing the fusion concept, but completely non-sexual. And there's a show I watch, but it's not important. It's just that it's always weird and creepy on the West. And this is like a common trope because they've seen it so many times in other manga and anime that they just use it for plot to get the ball going or get the episode
Maybe
finished.
they're all obsessed with Cronenberg horror, and they love the ugly and disgusting.
That is interesting to bring up Cronenberg and his stuff in the West because it is a very is it animatronic? What is that stuff? Is it plastic? I can't be sure. Maybe it's wax.
Know.
But
this is why.
I bet at one point we will find out that it was actually vat-grown monsters in all of his movies.
Okay.
They were real.
This is why I will never add an insert character because I'm always afraid to be like one of those people. Not saying I would, but it's like the way that they just write it, it's like, yeah, I'm not doing a self-insert character because if this is the result of how people act, then I'm not doing it, which is why 99% of my characters is not insert.
I'm trying to think of some sort of show where that happened and it was a good idea, and I'm blanking. I think there was some sort of Twilight Zone thing.
Yeah,
where a
but
self-insert character was an actual purposeful thing that was good.
but I did talk about it with Smud. So, but I just know I'm just afraid to do that because I just don't want to be lumped up with like these other people.
I don't think that's a problem. If you're aware of what you're doing, you'll be fine.
Look, I wanted to say this, or should have said this before the whole self-critiquing artist. Realize one thing, and this is what makes you the better artist, because you keep improving. Critique is the engine of improvement.
Mm-hmm.
If you can't do it, you can't get better. Just don't get paralyzed by it, that's all.
All right. We have 1 minute left. This guy's been pretty cool.
Yeah, surprisingly.
I had one objection, which was comparing, because he was specifically saying, oh, Japanese, they don't talk down to you like the toilet humor Family Guy, but you're comparing he was comparing Attack on Titan to Family Guy. That's just...
Oh, wow. There are bad examples. There
is shitty anime. We just don't talk about it because why would we? There's so much good stuff.
Also, the toilet humor, yeah, they don't, like, as far as I know, they don't, huh?
Shin-chan.
I've never seen that, but yeah, toilet humor, like fart jokes, yeah, I don't see that a lot in anime. The only...
Shin-chan.
Anyway. They have all kinds of humor in anime and manga, and it's done tastefully for the most part. There's a certain vibe in all these mangas until you get to like genres of like body horror, or they try to emulate space horror. I'm reading this manga about it. You're literally a space monster eating other people to grow and kill other humans and other aliens so they can get on. It's like basically playing a version of Alien. And it was actually the first episode, or the first manga says this is inspired by H.R. Geiger and the design of the xenomorph. And the story is about a xenomorph. Like the guy looks like pretty much like a xenomorph. So you're kind of rooting for this alien creature who's eating people because that's the plot. Yeah.
I will say this real quick. I'm watching Naruto at the moment when we started this, so I'm on like episode.
Naruto or Shippuden?
Yeah, there was like one fart joke in that entire episode, and I'm like, it caught me off guard because I thought Naruto. Well, not the start, but it was during that. What was it?
Yeah, he fights Kiba.
Yeah, he fights Kiba. And I thought he was gonna do like some kind of technique, but then he just let out a fart, and I'm like, "Fucking hell! Why did that get me?" And it's like, and I'm like,
that's a situational thing of I'm nervous. And
well, actually, Kiba was as a wolf ninja, so he has a very heightened sense of smell. And,
yes.
And this is obviously it was random, but it was like, oh my god,
it works mechanically together.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the thing is, it was funny that Naruto's like, yeah, I didn't plan for that, but I'm glad it happened.
Right.
Yeah, and look, older anime especially, this is Naruto and all this stuff before. They did a lot more of these kinds of jokes, but not in this plump, disgusting way that the West does, but usually just in this quippy, light-hearted way. Master Roshi in Dragon Ball is a prime example of that. That goes more into the sexual humor with the old lecherous man joke, and you had that in Ranma as well. Ranma is the best example, I think, for that because it had all these comedy tropes in there.
Every episode.
It also had fart jokes, but not everywhere. But well placed.
It happens in a bathhouse. You're going to get toilet humor and nudity and all kinds of silly antics. So
yeah, but in Naruto they don't do the whole nudity thing or the sexual jokes a lot. But they just do it whenever it's needed.
Yeah, because it's on the level it needs to be for teenagers. Because Naruto is not for 8-year-olds, it's for teenagers.
Yeah, but the thing is, the adult humor, like just sexy girl, it only happens because pervy Sage is a pervert.
Yeah, and it's always and there this is also a key difference between the Japanese storytelling, animation storytelling, and the Western and the mainly US stuff. Is in Japan, it's always depicted as something negative. Like, yeah, the shit happens, but you also get a pot or flying pan thrown in your face.
Yeah, and with this, what's his name, the teacher, he's a writer of those Harlequin romance stories, which Kakashi reads. So it's like this interconnected thing. He's not just a pervert; he's actually like a researcher, writer of the topic, and like there's so many stories of the writer, the Arrow writer
research.
Yeah, so it's kind of like this is his job, so he has to like research this thing, but he's also passionate about it. So yeah, he is a pervert, but he's creative about it. He's doing it as a job.
He's also surgically mechanical about it.
As someone who is a pervert, I'm not going to go to that extent like he does.
Well, I appreciate that because it's not just
trouble with the law.
Yeah, it's not just I'm a
Yes.
it's not just I'm this X quality. It's I'm this X quality, and I'm a great sage, and I'm a writer, and I have this big backstory with my other sage who I'm best friends with. I also secretly love, but I never tell her because I respect her too much, and we have all this responsibility. So it's not just this shallow character.
Tragic.
Yeah, it's not just this. He's a
Tragic
pervert.
love.
Yeah, it's all this storyline and backstory that makes you go, oh, this guy is not one dimensional. So he could be pervy, but he's also all these 5 other things that all make sense.
And this is such a you see this a lot in Japanese writing. You have these complex characters and all these things that happen, all these details. They're not just there for a flat joke. They have reason. They have backstory. They have purpose where it leads to. There's an interplay and interconnectivity between things. And I think that whole thing, if you know anything about Shinto and about Buddhism, that is rooted in the culture itself. How the culture itself sees the world. Everything is interconnected, and that if you understand that there is an interplay between all of these things.
Well, the great thing
then
about
you also naturally write more like that.
Is because Naruto works so well because the backstory. Every time there's a new character and there's a new fight, they suddenly have an episode where they flash back to this person's childhood, and I see that now in even the most like Jujutsu Kaisen. They do that all the time. There's a new character, boom, backstory. Why is this person doing what they're doing? Oh, I get it. And then they fight. And like they do that constantly. So it's not just this, hey, maybe this is a good idea. No, people watch good anime and read good manga. How does it work? Why does it work? Let's repeat that technique and get the characters interested in their plots and their backstories, why they're motivated to be what they are, and keep the interest, keep the hooks coming. Always go back in time to explain things because they don't have enough time. And Jujutsu Kaisen is pretty well paced, even though it has these flashbacks, and they did a precursor, a few like 6 or 7 episodes, and then we're back to modern times. And the manga is nuts. Like the manga is already like way ahead.
Yeah.
So
I think the epitome of the flashback thing, it varies currently. Is in Demon Slayer, where in the beginning it doesn't go really in your face. It's just very well woven in that any time before a big demon gets beaten or at least gets damaged, you get parts of the backstory or the entire backstory of who was this tragic soul, and to the point where eventually you catch up on, hey, this is the beat of the story. Before the demon gets beaten, you get the flashback of how everything was, and this sad story. Until you get to the recent arc that they had in the anime, which was the village, where you have this high level artist demon in this vase, and then you think, okay, now we're gonna get his tragic backstory, and then it turns out no, there is no tragic backstory. He's just a superficial narcissist that gets sliced.
Yeah, I will say this real quick.
It was a nice subversion.
I know we're on a time thing, but I will say that's what I like about Japanese characters is that you think they're going to be like one-dimensional, but no, they have so much personality. Like right now, I'm working on a character. She is like a foodie character. I don't know how to explain it otherwise, but I want to make it like, okay, how can I make it about like how can I make her more interesting than just say, oh, she likes to eat. Well, she's very passionate about cooking. She loves cooking. She loves cooking for others, but she hates it when people waste their food. And she hates it if the food quality is really bad. Like she'll pick at you if your cooking is not up to speed.
What happens if she has people over for dinner that she cooked for, and then someone says, "Oh, this isn't seasoned well enough," gets out seasoning and puts it all over her food?
Normally, if someone said her cooking is bad, she might feel disappointed, but she'll take that as a like I'll try to improve on that. Like she loves cooking, where she wants it to be good. She wants to
This massive insult by someone who doesn't have any taste in the first place, she would still take as critique.
Well, maybe not someone who has no taste. Like she'll probably taste it herself and it's like, I don't know what you're talking about. This tastes fine. And if they're
Okay,
like that, then
we'll talk about that hypothetical scene later.
yeah, okay. Sorry.
All right, let's continue. I forgot where we were, but let's continue.
Yeah, I am so sorry.
Studio C a lot faster and cheaper telling jokes than it would be experimenting on art styles and putting actual effort caring about the characters and the story. When an animated show only becomes a vehicle for jokes, they better be really darn good if that's their whole entire reason for existence. And it honestly is such a waste when it happens. Animation is an absolutely amazing medium that quite literally has unlimited potential. When used correctly, it can bring out amazing character development, in-depth lore, and breathtaking scenes. Shows that are aimed at a younger demographic have all that. That's why they're so popular amongst adults as well. And you know what? I'm gonna say it. F them kids. We deserve that too. We deserve better looking anime.
What?
I'm not sure he's
Are
getting
you
at.
currently talking of yourself as a kid or as an adult? Because I have no idea.
Like, why can't
I
you have
wouldn't know
both? Why can't you do
and I
stuff for kids that's also for adults? That's been done many times.
Exactly. What
Yeah.
we talked about in the beginning. But honestly, I have no idea what to call him. Is he a kid or is he an adult?
I
He
mean,
called college age people
Yeah.
kids. I think.
Probably.
He
No.
looks 16.
yeah, like he looks like he's he looks like he's in his early 20s to me. But yeah, like you said, like there's cartoons out there that people might say is quote unquote for kids. Still fucking watch it. Animaniacs, I would watch that religiously because it's funny as hell.
Yeah, and that is something that works for both kids and adults.
Yeah.
And I will bring up it is technically anime, but the commissioned animation for children in Germany, the first season of it at least, it was very, very good. Later on was soulless crap. Of Maya the bee. It's just wholesome stuff you watch with your kids about a bee and the other insects in the grass in the and by the forest and where she has her adventures and learns about all these other these other insects through these really wholesome little adventures, including the evil spider who's just always spinning her web and then gets annoyed that Maya doesn't really get into her web. She always tries to talk her into it, and Maya thinks like, nah, not gonna do it. No.
I mean, another show that I'm surprised I'm even watching it because it's really good, Bluey. You would think that show is just stupid, made for kids. I've watched like the entire episode, and I'm just sitting here like, there's so much more to this than just, oh, kids having fun. Like, you get to see the adults dealing with stuff. It's just like you can watch Bluey as an adult, but watch it with your kid without having to bash your head on against a wall because it's just mindless shit.
I've watched Bluey. Actually, I have a family come over with their They're kids, and it's very well animated. It's
Yeah.
obviously just for kids, but you could watch it as an adult and go, "Oh, okay, this is good."
Well, the writing is just really good. It's nothing complex, but it's just really done. Like, and I'm sitting here like, this is what we're missing with kid shows nowadays. Is something you could watch as a kid and also watch it as an adult, because a lot of times you got shows telling you, like this wokeism crap that no one can even watch. It's just mindless shit. But with Bluey, I can watch it and say they're just having fun.
Mm-hmm.
They're just enjoying life. And yeah, I know. I think Whisp says there was some wokeism in it later on. In the
I don't know.
episode.
I haven't watched Bluey. I don't know about
okay.
Bluey.
Okay. Well, I'll take back what I said then. But yeah, like there's none of that. Like, sure, like the episode got censored because Disney is an idiot. But yeah, it's all good fun, and like kids, like my niece and nephews, they enjoy it.
Yeah.
They really enjoy it.
It's a good show. I watch it with my niece and nephew too. So anyway, the whole point is that there are shows for kids. There are shows for kids and adults. There's nothing wrong with both. I think he's referring to him preferring adult shows that are done well, and disregarding the audience for kids. That's fine. That's fair.
If you want
opinion,
a good example for an adult show that looks kid-like but totally isn't, in the anime realm, was Panty and Stocking with Garter Belt, which was a completely crazy idea from the get-go, because the makers loved South Park, and they loved Invader Zim, and I thought, hey, let's make a magical girl story out of that, and that's how that thing got born. It's completely insane. And what they also, you have this really flat geometric shape style most of the anime, and then in the beautiful the transformation scenes of the two girls, they're done in hyper beautiful, animated, detailed, quasi-realistic style, in complete contrast with the rest of it, because the next scene is then again this super deformed 2D flat 2D thing, and anytime they destroy one of the demons, they have another animation technique in it where they use this
it's like claymation almost.
Yeah, this claim. Yeah, but the Godzilla style, where they have built the demon from the show in paper mesh and other materials, and then with a little set in the background, and blow it up. That is just amazing.
Yeah. I've never watched Panty and Stocking, but I've seen parts of it, and I do
Watch the show.
Well, I've watched like part of it, and the one thing that I loved about it is its constant change from, like, the way, like, I don't know how to describe it. Like, it has that rough style to it, but then it goes like the full-on anime clean style. That probably doesn't even make sense, but it's hard for me to explain.
Yeah, the thing I just described. But I have a question. If you love it so much, why don't you watch it?
I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of things that I love, but I hadn't really gotten around to.
Online?
Well, I have a
Somewhere?
yeah. Well, anyway,
As free as all anime.
Anyway, let's continue. We got a minute left.
Get the physical media.
I am sure you can
It's
buy
an
the DVD.
exemplary example of adult animation done right.
Oh.
It has an outstanding story, memorable characters, fantastic world building, and so much more. But I unfortunately don't think it would have been the sensation that it became if it wasn't based on a massive game like League of Legends.
I would disagree.
No, yeah. This thing can stand on its own, and maybe even better, because here they had developed the lore for quite a while and retconned it over and over and over again.
Yeah, exactly. So the game's lore is its own beast, and this is, I wouldn't say the best example of it, but it's the cleanest and clearest example which
In
is
the game, I always thought that Zaun is another capital, another country far, far off. And here it's just, oh no, it's just the rim of the city on the other side of the river.
It's just the slums of Piltover.
Yeah, which, and then the name makes sense because it's a pun. Because Zaun is the German word for fence.
Isn't that show like really bad? Because I've heard a lot of people say.
No, it's good.
It's very good. I think it's very good.
Good.
Yeah.
And then some people were like, it does have this one thing.
Well,
I'm not happy with some of the character change choices, but the thing over and how they uglified some of the characters, mainly the women, but overall this thing is very good, and the animators, the director, knew very well on how to get emotion and detail and thought across with tiny motions.
Yeah,
there's a scene by the end at the docks with one of the villains. I forgot the name, the one with the eye, and there was this moment of realization of him where he was caught off guard by a question he didn't in the bargaining that he didn't expect, and he was taken aghast for a second, he was struck in a weak point that he didn't even know he had, and there was this silent gasp that you only see in a tiny motion of his body, and his eye was darting across very slightly in that reflects his thought, because eyes do that when you actually think, when you're looking for the data in your brain. Do I have it in a list? Can I come up with that? Can I make connections, etc.? The eye position reflects that, and that's why the eyes go all over in those moments. And it was just a very, very short moment that showed he is in deep thought for half a second, shocked, and that was great. I want to see that kind of acting again from Hollywood.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure all of us do, but I haven't watched the show because I'm just not interested in League of Legends, but I've never really watched it because everyone was like, oh, it's got lesbian character, it's woke. And I'm like, well, is it in your face?
That element is implied. It's not like people are saying, oh, they're lesbians. Like, no, they're not. There's no a literal scene of them being lesbian. It's only implied. And that's totally fine as in a literary technique to say, well, we don't know what happened. Yeah. And that's great.
It's the whole Frodo and some are gay for each
other.
Yeah,
exactly. It's that level of nonsense. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
How anyone can do that is so...
Well, I just know... I'm not saying, like, anything about, like... But I just know a lot of people like to say wokeism whenever they do see gay character. I get it, because a lot of the movies that come out, but we can't. But
it's the reason why many of them are pushed into these things.
This is the problem with a lot. Even people on the server, like certain shows are woke. It's like, where is it woke? Because they have implied sex or implied, like, we know they care about each other.
Women being emotional and supporting each other is now lesbian.
That is normal. That is completely normal behavior for women.
Women who write this.
It's the one thing that they're known for.
There is one show on Netflix. It's a really good horror show called The Haunted of Hill House. There is, a gay lesbian character in there, but they don't bash your head in it. They just let it play naturally. Like, you see her kissing a girl, hooking up, trying to forget, like, depressing things, like just having sex with girl, because, when you're depressed, I can see people doing that. They don't focus on, oh, she's gay. They just focus on, she's struggling with problems and she's sleeping around to forget. And
I would say that is not depression, that is trauma.
Yeah. Well,
have you ever been really depressed? Do you know what that feels like? You're not going to have sex when you're depressed.
Not that depressed.
You can't fuck the depression away.
Yeah. Well, I'm not going to go into my depression, but I've never done that. I kind of shut myself away for certain people, which is bad for social skills, but anyway,
that's the isolation spiral. But a real deep depression usually means you have joint pain, and you don't have sex when you have joint pain.
Yeah,
well,
but
you could try. I mean,
It's not recommended.
But with the wokeism stuff, whenever I see a gay character movie, I'm always careful. Like, okay, is it really wokeism? Because there's
This is the damage that woke has done to homosexual and homosexual representation in on screen.
Yeah, and
just nobody can see anything that's remotely gay without thinking, oh, was this a political choice?
Is this going to be a well-written character and scene and story, or is this just propaganda?
Yeah, the only line I can remember is where Caitlin, they're in the rain, Caitlin and Vi are saying goodbye, and Caitlin says, "What about us?" Meaning, what about our relationship as two people who just saved each other's lives in the slums,
besties,
as best friends. Yeah, it's like, yeah, we have this connection. We're comrades. I killed people for you. That's what that was showing. Not that I have feelings for you, Vi. She never said anything like that. There's nothing like that.
That's all YouTube's fault then, because if that's really the only thing, I remember when it came out and you had all these YouTube videos with thumbnails going lesbians. And
nope.
Just
there was one scene in a brothel where Vi is like, okay, Cupcake, you have to act like you like the guy, and she was playing as an escort chick. And that was it. There's nothing else sexual in the entire show.
It reminds me of just...
Yeah, go on.
It was like, I was assuming when you were saying that it was like a subtle thing, that because I've never seen the show, that it was going to be more like Bill from The Last of Us, where it's very much...
No.
It's just, where it was just an implied thing that you could completely overlook.
The only thing... the only thing that we don't know is because... Vi goes to Piltover and Caitlin's in this. She's rich, so she sleeps on her bed. That's it. We don't they didn't do anything. They didn't show anything. She just slept. It's like, oh my god, they slept together. It's like, well, literally, yeah, they slept on the same big giant bed they were on.
Yeah, nobody knows what platonic love is anymore. So many people were saying, oh, they were super lesbians.
They've never stayed over at a friend's house for sleepover or something, or visit, part of there's a thing when the internet started and we started to have friends all over the country. There were things where people were internet friends just organize sleepovers across the country, and for let's stay over that weekend at that friend's house. It's a big place, and then everybody stayed there and played video games together and shit, and watched anime and then ordered pizza. Same thing. That there was no sex involved.
Only millennials look at Sam and Frodo and think, "Oh man, they must be fucking."
Yeah, and that's I think we've never actually gone this far in actually reverse logicking through this entire woke gay fetish bullshit that we've seen from people like Noralities who accuse Sam and Frodo as being gay for each other. Which they were based. This whole experience is based on World War I experiences, and because
that's what disgusts me the most about it is he based it off of the camaraderie he had with other soldiers.
Yes, and this is the thing. If we reverse logic this insanity all the way through, that would mean that these people believe that all the soldiers in the trenches in World War I were fucking each other all the time. Because they saved each other's lives.
See,
that's not how human bonding works.
Trench warfare, man.
See, this is probably off topic, but this is why I can't even have this conversation with certain people, because they always think, oh, you're following the right-wing ideology. It's like, no.
They're useful idiots who don't even know that they're useful idiots.
Yeah, and I'm like, no, just because I say, stop forcing gays in it doesn't mean I don't want to see it, or I'm following this, not everything has to have gay characters, not everything has to have trans character, or I don't follow the belief system that they do. I literally met a transgender in a furry con that says, keep the adult stuff out from kids, keep it out of school, keep it away from kids. Are you
More
gonna
power
say
to that person.
yeah? Are you gonna say that she's transphobic now because of that?
Yes,
Because
that they do that.
Yeah.
They accuse everyone with. You only need to mention gender dysphoria at this point. Everyone who has the actual medical condition,
Mhm.
who's not in line with them, with all their demon clown bullshit, as being traitors.
Yeah. Like, and this is why I'm always careful whenever I say wokeism in these media, because it's like, I would like to, like, this is my concern with the Scott Pilgrim show. There's a character in there, which is gay, but it's not important, named Wallace Walls. I'm worried of how they're gonna do him, because in the comics, he was a really funny character, but he was also, shut up, Jontron, but he was also intelligent. Like, he was always telling Scott, you're a very shitty person of what you're doing by cheating on knives for Ramona. And he's telling him, like, get your shit together, break up with him or break up with her if you're gonna do this. If you don't, I'm gonna tell Knives you're being a piece of shit. I swear to God, Scott. Like, that's what my concern is with Netflix, because I'm just worried of how they're going to do his character, because he's more than just, he's the gay character.
I just hope that after the movie, Scott Pilgrim would just fade into obscurity at some point.
Yeah, I don't like the movie. Like, I love the movie, but I don't like how it was done. Like, it's not
the whole message, the whole messaging of it is just atrocious.
Yeah, like, if I've told people this, don't waste your time with the movies. Go read the books. They're better. But anyway.
Watch Turbo Kid instead.
All right. Anyway, let's keep going.
Coming from someone who knows next to nothing about League, I initially didn't plan on watching until I saw all the praise it was getting, and that you didn't have to know anything about the game to enjoy it. If it wasn't for the League name, if you swap out the characters and the world but keep all the fundamentals of it, I don't think it would have gotten as much hype as it did, let alone the massive funding behind it.
Yeah, of course
it
got more
now, don't get me
because
wrong,
of the
it could've
association,
still
but it
turned
would have
out
worked on
amazing,
its own.
but only reached an audience a fraction of what it got. But I have hope. Hope for the future. With shows like Arcane, Rick and Morty, Inside Job, Close Enough, and
Inside Job is
and many more great adult cartoons.
Rick and Morty. Oh God.
Okay.
You clearly missed one of the most bullshit, atrocious, pretentious things out there, which is Rick and Morty.
I don't know about.
It's gonna get worse.
I don't know about the rest of those animated shows he just showed, but BoJack Horseman, I would say, yeah, it's okay when it talks about its
alcoholism.
Or alcoholism. I don't know about depression, like, because I can't really speak for everyone that has depression, but I will say, there were some things in there that, like, yeah, I can understand that.
The problem with these types is that when they write about these things, they never write about solving them, only about indulging in them, and that often in a very superficial and the way that they don't really understand the condition. That's why they wrote that. Why they also write wrongly about it. It's basically watching Neon Genesis Evangelion.
Yeah. Well,
when you have teenage depression and you watch that and okay, Shinji's depressed and shit and insecure and all of the shit, and in the end everyone claps for him for no reason.
Yeah, and like I said, like, have you seen BoJack Horseman, Whisp?
I find it repulsive. No.
Oh, well, I do know later on with like, obviously he's a shitty character, but everyone is not just accepting it. They're just like, change. Like, there's like one character named Todd where he's fed up with him and he moved out of the house because he's like, if you're gonna be a shitty person, you're using the excuse like, I'm a shitty person and I can't help it. It's like, you could change. You don't have to be a shitty person. You could change. It depends on whether or not you want to change to be from a shitty person. But
that's work.
Yeah, that's what Bojack says, and the character Todd is really fed up with that idea. Everyone is fed up with the idea that.
Yeah, but that's not depression. That's another problem.
Well, yeah.
That's an ego problem.
Yeah, he has a lot of that, but that's why I said I don't know about if it's good with the depression topic, but I just know, if you are a crappy person, this is the consequences.
If you're a crappy person, that's more sign of emotional immaturity, type of narcissistic stuffs, and mistaking that what you describe here about this character is he's not actually depressed. He's suffering from being an asshole.
Yeah,
and he doesn't want to grow out of it because it's but I know the hell I'm in. That's comfortable, and can't the world just change around me instead of that would be nicer for me.
It's kind of like that.
Narcissism.
It's essentially just a sitcom drama thing with people with certain animal heads. It's all it is. It's not great comedy. It's fun. It's a fun show, but it's not that.
Yeah, I would not say it's funny. There were some points that were funny, but I would say when it talks about a serious topic, it does okay. I wouldn't say it's something to write home about.
Yeah, it's a bit of a mixed bag, this show, yeah.
Yeah. Now, well, I'm not going to stick to it, but we can argue about the depression of the character some other time, but I just don't know.
All right. Anyway, almost done this video. Then we're going to
30 seconds.
Yeah.
30 seconds.
We fix this. What we can do right now to move this industry in the right direction is simply watch shows like these.
No, doesn't matter. That literally doesn't matter. We have seen that. Nobody watches the crap. Even Disney with Marvel, with Star Wars, they've got the message that nobody wants their woke bullshit and their low quality garbage writing, the narcissistic Ryan Johnson crap. Nobody wants that.
Yeah.
They keep making it anyway until they go bankrupt.
He got the message in the first 10 seconds of the video, which is unsubscribe from those streaming services, buy the stuff you like. That's it. That's the mess. That's what you do.
I think vote with your wallet is the best way, but you can still the best you can hope for that is
the problem is they have other income. They have other income streams, especially with all these years that they got ESG money. They were not bound to the audience. That's also what ruined a lot of the big games in the video game industry.
Okay, I will say this.
Sorry, talking over you.
Oh, sorry. I am so sorry.
No, I talked over Gore. Sorry.
It's fine.
Well, I will say, and this is coming from someone who's never gone to college or has a degree in art or writing or anything like that, the best way to write a good anything is, number one, criticism. Listen to criticism. Listen to the both good and negative. And also watch other writers or animators and see how they did it and why it's so good. And also understand, with character writing, understand what makes them good and what makes them more than just whatever character you're going to go for. Like, oh, she's the typical goth girl, but but instead of moping around or being depressed, she's have a lot of responsibility because her father is an alcohol abuse that doesn't do shit. So she has to be responsible.
If you want to know how to write, the best example is to read as much as you can, understand what you're reading, and then if you really need help and want to step into script writing or screenplay writing, join a club, join a group that does that, and get your work criticized. And do it as much as possible. So
there
was a time the average goth girl was Morticia Adams.
Yeah,
and Morticia's still great.
And
yes,
this is why...
yes, but that was I'm sorry, I have to hold myself back because you brought up this term, the average goth girl effect. What year are you talking about?
I don't know.
Before or after the emo fashion garbage shit? Because in the 90s, goth girls, at least in Germany, were Morticia Adams.
Well,
I don't know anything about that. I just know like they're like I don't know what time I can say, but I'm talking about the ones that were
Yeah, you're talking about recent, modern, fashionable bullshit.
not the modern goth. I hate the modern goth.
The Raven Teen Titans
because
goth.
I hate the modern
more like
goth
that, yeah.
because they're just so one-dimensional. Like, oh, I'm depressed. I met like actual goth girls that were like, yeah, I'm not depressed. I don't know what their problem is. I'm fine. I just like the music and the aesthetic, and I'm like, okay, that's what I was afraid of because I just didn't want to be a poser or anything like that.
Who was the goth girl before Morticia? It was, I can't remember her name. Vampire lady had a show.
The 2000 goths.
Oh god, it was a super campy thing, but it wasn't goth. Not really.
I don't know about
goth before Morticia Adams was very much based off of vampire stuff.
I don't know about the. Sorry.
It wasn't Vampirella. That's an actual.
All right.
Movie. But...
Yeah. That was not that was not gothic. That was something else. That was closer in clear horror. Gothic isn't exactly about horror. It is more about a type of intellectual thinking, appreciation for the arts, poetry. That's why you have high quality clothing styles there. Not as trash punk stuff. The trash punk stuff is a different type of goth. And the classic era of goth, but not the old not the gothic of Renaissance gothic, no. But the subculture gothic. You all missed that.
Yeah, like
you only know the punk version.
America had more punk.
I think you only had the punk one.
Whenever I hear goth described, they always say it's about the appreciation of the music that they have. Like if
but the music is an expression of the of other forms of art already, and I blame Neil Gaiman.
Yeah, I don't know, but I do know that I was doing like research about goth because since I'm kind of going for that because I'm just trying to find things that I'm comfortable in. So I said like, okay, I'll go goth. Because I do like, it's gonna sound cringy, but the darker aspects of stuff and horror that probably doesn't make you goth, but I kind of just like the aesthetic. And
okay, as long as you aim for high quality, that's all it is relevant because the rest comes on its own.
All right,
but
not everyone is necessarily into history and philosophy.
I'm not really into history unless if it intrigues me, like I don't know, murder mystery history.
Yeah, take this as the maybe a key dividing line between the punk and emo goths that you know and the original subculture that was before that. Is can you have a lengthy conversation about real life history with a goth? If it is not the case, you're just talking with a pseudo-intellectual poser, basically.
I mean, I could talk about history. It just depends what it is. I mean, obviously, I'm doing a good job.
I mean, you know what I mean, okay? You don't need to make excuses and justifications for it.
All right, we're almost done. Let's get this finished.
Memes.
Make memes. Suggest your favorites.
Make
Show our
memes.
support for the type of content that we want to see more of. Studios notice that. They have been noticing that.
You know what?
And that's
I want
how
to see a lot
as
more.
a society can avoid more.
No.
We as a society.
Not Turkey, not Turkey and Birdie. That show is
I am not part of the hive mind, thank you. But
I'm sorry if I'm overly complicating what we talk about. I hate it when I do that.
Stop snickering at yourself.
All right, anyway.
Don't say it in the first place.
Let us get on with it.
Generally a good video.
Yeah, it was.
Okay.
I don't like his recommendation of what the hell? I don't even remember the name. Boss. It's Boss Lady Netflix thing.
Well, his last 20 seconds was not the best out of the rest of the video, but yeah. Anyway, stream news. What we got here? Okay, Matt, Chapter 4 from YouTuber John Rizzo. I don't know why that's a thing, but you can play that yourself. I can't see my forehead. Okay, you got combination of things here. Fair enough. Flapjack, I'm 38 years old. I don't know what that is.
You can totally
don't
play
know
that.
either.
It's just a small clip. It's about the like up close shot gags.
Okay. Hello, I'm Terrence. I am plowing. I'm Thomas. What ugly wheels you have.
Man, I missed the early Thomas the Tank Engine show. It was really good, and now it's
I was a Bob the Builder guy.
Terrence can go where he pleases.
yeah,
He's not a slave to the tracks.
right. This is your fault.
Oh, that's the Simpsons episode.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was a really good one.
There's Duckman.
Oh, that cartoon. Okay, I wasn't familiar with the name, but now that
Yeah,
I see
George
it.
Costanza voices
Yeah.
that guy.
That's the whole point why you watch the show. When you eat
I
toilet
say
paper,
George Costanza.
Jason Scott Alexander. Yeah. When you eat toilet paper, so it wipes on the way out. What?
What? What does that mean?
That's not how
Free your
toilet paper
mind.
works, guys.
Free your mind.
That's Best Girl. That's more punk, not goth.
Yeah, that is fun.
Yeah, she's more of a punkish type girl.
Cream what? Hot bewilderment. What the heck? Okay.
Once there was an ugly barnacle. He was so ugly that everybody died. The end.
Oh no! What is? Thanks, Hank. You really taught me a lot about propane and propane accessories. And I tell you what, young man, I don't think I know what a heart of the cards is, but I know for certain you got the heart of a Texan.
Oh,
I don't know how that conversation would have gone. I have no clue.
Should have been with Joey.
All right, yeah.
You just noticed subtle animation details like their
there's
face.
so much character just in how they walk, in how they.
Yeah, their running cycles are unique. It's
What
Yeah,
the
you
heck
could say-
is 1 pound of Among Us meat wagyu?
I have no idea.
Wagyu beef? Like what is they talking about?
I
You're
don't wanna
asking.
know.
You're asking the wrong dude.
Okay, what is? I don't know what this is.
Oh, Hank.
Here we have Hello Boss.
might
Hey.
get you to watch it one day.
Yeah, I do would like to watch it with you guys. Also, Best Wolf Girl. That's the goth girl right there, the Luna.
What is going on?
What the actual fuck?
Oh no. Oh god, no.
I'm just gonna skip these two.
Yeah.
Mr. Cowboy Bebop.
But
Just, no,
that is what Steve Universe truly is.
I don't want to know. Why does Venice, Italy look like Patrick needing water? Is that an aerial view of Venice?
That is an area view of Venice, yes.
Oh, that's
that
interesting.
is,
I have
that's
maps of
funny.
Venice, but that's like spun like 90 degrees.
Yeah, but don't you recognize the big canal in the middle? And the extra island at the rim where they had all the glass workers who did all their secret stuff on the extra island so that
Well, yeah, but
their knowledge wouldn't be stolen.
the map is open like a book, not like a scroll. So I was like, what is that Venice? Really? Oh, yeah, okay. You turn it around.
oh man, the animation on Tom and Jerry. I
Yeah.
keep forgetting how good
You
it
watch
is.
those like first dozen episodes of Tom and Jerry. It looks 100 times better than any cartoon.
Well, yeah, because they took effort of how like all the object that they crash in works, and not just that, but Tom, like look at the hammer, the way it hit his teeth.
It even squashes and stretches in like a second.
Well, squashes, but you can tell like how solid it is just by it whacking in his teeth. It looks painful. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, and the thing is, the limitation that doing it all by hand also gives you automatically the opportunity that you will instantly use to add more detail in the animation that you won't do with digital.
Yeah, here's another one where Tom gets punched. You can see his face getting flattened the minute the fist comes in contact with the face. It's just so damn good. Like, you feel it. They know what they were doing.
Oh, Shinji.
What?
Oh no.
Hey, Rainer, do you know Candace? I want to kill myself.
Is Attack on Titan better than Evangelion? I have not seen
Why would you?
At this point, I am honestly torn on that question.
Like, would you rather be shot in the foot or shot in the shoulder? I don't know. It's
actually, I think I'd say shoulder.
all right. I mean,
But I don't know what that's supposed
it's
to
all
mean.
suffering. I don't know.
It's still. I'm still.
It's just a question on how you want to suffer and how you want to something that just turns into garbage.
Yeah.
What's a man like you doing with a woman like her? Shh, I don't think she knows she could do better.
Damn.
That's great. I like that one.
Mm-hmm.
Richard, don't put yourself down, man.
All I know about Gumball is people really like the mom.
Yeah.
She's awesome.
And around furry circles, she's very loved.
This is great. I don't know what this is, but the fusion is awesome.
Why is Goku fusing with? Oh, that's bad.
My mind when I heard Dracula fuse with his wife. Yeah, it happened. I can't read that.
Gumball's
I don't wanna
fight me.
That's too small.
Why was Asuka screaming in pain? Is she stupid? Lance of longitude? What?
Why is Bluey about to hit Bandit? What's going on here?
Yeah, what is happening?
Oh wait, that's a Simpson reference. Okay, now I get it now.
There's panties and garter belt.
Oh, the demon girl. What was the demon girl? Socks and
knee socks and stocking. No, wait, no.
No, stocking was the angel sister.
Now we have the ending to Neon Genesis.
I don't know.
Mr. Bean and Dr. House on his pretending they are soldiers and shit. Okay, they obviously haven't watched.
It was Scanty.
Was that Hugh Laurie?
Yeah. He was
Hugh Laurie played together with Rowan Atkinson?
He played in all kinds of skits, yeah. Was it Laurie and Hughes? What was that comedy skit show?
Well, that looks like Blackadder.
No.
No?
Blackadder is medieval.
All right.
You're such a procrastinator that you were 4 years old before you finished your first sentence, and even then it was, I'll do it tomorrow. Okay, y'all please stop saying Ramona Flowers did nothing wrong. I swear to God, I get we want to support boss girls in film, but like the point of the movie is she and Scott both suck because they broke a lot of people's hearts and had no regard for their past significant others' feelings.
Yes.
I'll take his word for it.
I don't think anyone has ever argued that Ramona is a boss girl. Like, she's tough.
They do.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah, she had like
they love Ramona. The borderline girls all love Ramona.
She has so many flaws. Like,
yes, but because the borderliners see themselves in her. Because Ramona is a reflection of a girl with borderline personality disorder. That's why she doesn't give a shit about all her exes and puts Scott through all this bullshit that is in the end worth nothing.
Yeah.
And that's why she doesn't learn anything. And Scott is a simp.
When someone asks you to Shinji, the third child, summarize the plot of Evangelion in simple terms, what? What?
Okay, what Metal Sonic and who's this character here? Oh, she's from the new Sonic game. I need to play that game. Damn.
What the heck is even happening? It's great.
I don't know, but Dr. Robotnik is digging that pajamas.
Okay, we just have random art of Rogue. And we have
Where's the
Homer
meme?
getting a chair knocked over his head for some reason.
I don't know
That's
who
the
this
reaction to the Bluey.
Yeah, I
that
guess-
was
I
based
guess,
on this
yeah.
scene from The Simpsons.
All right,
I
well,
guess.
good enough.
Yeah.
That was a pretty good video to the last 20 seconds, but other than that, pretty good. I enjoyed
I mean,
it.
it could be worse. Like, who was that other guy we covered that was just like, he didn't say anything throughout the entire video, but his outro was so long. Like, he was talking about, like, anime. That was really bad.
Hard to remember the lame or forgetful people to say, well, I don't know. What did they say? They didn't leave a lasting impact on me.
I don't know, but it was just one of those videos, like, it lasted so long with nothing to take from it, and then his outro was so fucking long, and I'm like, so why is your outro so long, and yet you left nothing for me to take home to learn? What happened?
The only guy I remember remotely was the guy who's playing some sort of mech game while he was talking about pronouns and saying that, look at all these creators who are lefties, therefore the game is lefties. And you're like, what? Is that an argument?
Synthetic Man?
He left a comment saying, I hope we can be friends.
Okay, not Synthetic Man then.
No way, not Synthetic Man. No, that's too much. That's the other end of the spectrum, I think. I don't know.
Aesthetic Man was a interesting guy with his take on Doom Eternal.
Well, either way, very forgetful. Nothing worthy of comment. But yes, there are many reasons why cartoons are of low animation quality in the West, and that was before even the 90s. We had some weird, silly things, but some of them were fun to watch as kids. Nowadays, for adults, not so much.
I missed 90s animation so much.
Yeah.
Well,
I still don't get it. Like, why can't? Because like the anime back then was super high quality. I don't know what happened.
Yeah, believe it or not, we got a Gargoyles game that came out this week. So
you say we can't watch it. You can't watch it. It's not as good as adult. Go watch I dare you to go watch the early Thomas the Tank Engine show. You can still watch that as an adult. It was just.
I never watched. I was Bob the Builder.
I was a Thomas. I was very super religious with Thomas as a kid.
Speaking of gargoyles, they're making a live action thing, I think.
No.
Oh,
it's gonna
no.
be bad. It's gonna be bad. I am.
They just
calling
want to
it.
ruin that too.
Gargoyles is so underrated.
No,
It
fuck
is.
you.
It is sadly it wasn't finished, and that gives them even more excuse of doing it.
The Gargoyles cartoon that I saw, I loved it. I just need to finish it.
No, you can't. The story was never finished. I cancelled it.
What?
I think it got continued in comic form, but yeah.
Wait, it got so it just so it's kind of like that Sonic.
It was super successful, but Disney thought, that's too mature. Let's get rid of it. Yeah.
Really?
Well, the second season wasn't that great. It sort of just threw stuff together. I think it was only 7 or 8 episodes or something like that. And then we got a Super Nintendo, or it was a Genesis game, and then we got that remake that just came out this week. So.
Well, that's really disappointing because the first episode was like catching my attention. It's like, oh, this is actually very.
It is what I'd say the most mature and one of the most entertaining shows, aside from the Batman animated series. That
one of the best things Disney has ever created.
It's
Yeah.
also was really unique.
Yeah, it was really good.
Yeah, it was
Novel
actually a
idea.
creative endeavor.
Well, I guess I'm not gonna finish the episode now.
Just that, I just remember as a kid the intro was so metal to me.
Yeah.
Of just
Yeah.
And then they had Keith David being the main voice actor. I'm like, oh.
just screaming up to the sky. As
And then you had Commander William Riker as the villain. I'm like, this is awesome. Then there's Worf, and then Deanna Troi.
And
Like, oh my god.
and you had Patrick. Patrick was of Broadway.
It's great. Great show.
I still remember that scene at the end of a show when Goliath finally tried some of the pepperoni that the other guy was eating. And he for the first time in centuries, he experienced true pain and screamed in agony.
The one show that I will still watch to this day, SWAT Cats. That show was awesome.
That sounds familiar. Is that Canadian?
I don't know, but it's in the world of anthropomorphic cats, and they're flying in jets, defeating all kinds of foes. Like they defeated I think an eldritch god from an alternate dimension, and they defeat all kinds of strange things. Like they defeated a scientist that kind of did corruptive things with DNA, so they stopped him. Like they face all kinds of weird things, and they always flying in the jet, but they do hand-to-hand combat, so they're not always in the jet unless they need to use it.
You want to watch, if you like anthropomorphic cats doing things, you want to watch Samurai Pizza Cat.
How do
like
you write
Thundercats.
That-
You write that as you spell it. Samurai.
That is
Pizza
essentially an
Cats.
anime. I think that's just an anime that just came over.
It was commissioned, but I think the initial idea came from America.
Oh, really? Oh, that's cool.
Did you know with gargoyles the only other thing was I think it was after they said ideas after for cuts if they got more seasons, but the creators said at a Comic-Con that the canon reason why her name's Des. What's the evil gargoyle woman's name? Des or something?
Demona.
Yeah, the actual writers said the canon reason, part of why she was so evil, was because she hadn't gotten laid in hundreds of years.
Okay, so it is America SWAT Cats, that is. Okay, so it's not a Canadian thing.
And she just hated humans so much, and she didn't have any other gargoyles around, so she just... that was part of the reason she was so evil.
Oh, this is not an unrealistic story.
All right,
How
guys.
women
Well,
like that.
I gotta get some work done, but thank you so much for talking about cartoons. It's always fun to reminisce and
love 'em.
wonder why things suck. So,
I love cartoons.
yeah. So we will talk to you soon. Have yourself a great end of your Friday and keep warm. It's getting cool out there. So, good
Oh, yeah.
night.
Bye-bye.